From all the hype created around the Paul vs. Fury bout to a pretty intense match that had everyone at the edge of their seats, Jake Paul is not an undefeated boxer anymore. And of course, the pros have a lot to say about it. Tommy Fury won via split decision, unboxing him over 8 rounds. And well, everyone had their own opinions about the outcome. 2 judges gave a 76-73 score for Fury, while the third scored it 75-74. They really cut it close, didn't they? Paul knocked Fury out in the 8th and final round of their cruiserweight fight in Saudi Arabia, but, well, if he wanted to overcome Fury's insane punching power, he should have done more.
Tommy Fury, a point deduction.
Yeah.
Both fighters were docked a point for multiple head clashes that led to a cut on the top of Fury's left eye. This is what I mean when I say that the fight got heated. There's definitely going to be a rematch soon, which has everyone even more excited. When you think about how heavily marketed the fight was and how many people were watching to see how things played out, it's no surprise that everyone, from fans to pro boxers, was having a field day on Twitter.
I really wouldn't say Jake is frustrated. It's a good time, Jake.
Even KSI, in true KSI fashion, tweeted after the fight, and he thinks that he could destroy both Jake Paul and Tommy Fury both. I'm guessing the laughing emoji he added was a safety measure just in case Paul or Fury ever take him up on his offer. After all, Jake's not just a YouTuber who he has beef with anymore. He's a professional boxer.
Early on, but that's a sign of showing Woodley, hey, I'm still in the fight, I'm not scared. That's a good sign from Paul.
People under KSI's tweet were laughing along with him. I wonder if a fight between him and Tommy Fury, or even Jake Paul, is going to be on the cards anytime soon. Coming back to the fight, everyone had a mixed response to it. And as always, Twitter was the best place to be after the bout because it went up in flames. Jake Paul, of course, was very bummed about his loss, but of course he had one excuse or another. For starters, he said he doesn't agree with the decision that the scorekeepers made. He's lucky though, because in the fight contract with Fury, there was a rematch clause.
Tommy Fury, 70 of 230. They both.
It's very possible that a second bout is going to happen, but considering this one just ended, we don't have any updates on it yet. But Jake Paul seems very hopeful about the rematch. Skip Bayless doesn't feel the same way. Skip agrees 100% that the problem child deserves a rematch. Losing 2 rounds by 10-8 definitely isn't easy to overcome.
Left hook, that's set. That wobble, Tommy Fury.
Both guys were throwing punches at that time.
Still, Fury's the one who dominated the punching stats. Bayless thinks that he's strong, long, and tough, which doesn't make the whole rematch situation easier. That's exactly why Skip thinks that it's not going to be an easy win, though, and Jake should take that as a warning. But it won't be fair to say that it was all downhill for Jake after the loss. While a lot of people were making fun of Jake Paul, some pros took the time out to praise Jake Paul too. Odell Beckham Jr. was one of those people. He let everyone know that he was very impressed with how Jake Paul did in the ring. Odell said he appreciates how Jake Paul handled things in the ring, and even said that he's sending much love to Jake, who he called Brody. It must be nice for Jake Paul to be recognized by a legend like Odell after his boxing debut.
After having not gone past 2. There's the jabs from Paul. He threw 120.
Even though the fight was intense, along with the bad blood leading up to it, Fury and Paul still have a lot of respect for each other. Well, at least Fury does. He said that he has nothing but love and respect for his opponent, despite everything that happened. If you told me a week ago that Fury said this, I would not believe you at all. Winning does change people. Another pro who weighed in on the fight is none other than Mike Perry. He said that he's not going to be the guy who talks ass about the fight. Especially while both Fury and Paul were raking in the big bucks for their families and entertaining the crowd. He watched the whole fight and even tweeted that he was happy for them. Like I said before, the fight was pretty intense. With all the hype around it, it only made sense for everyone to live tweet their thoughts while the fight was happening.
Coming up on a minute to go. Yeah, this third round.
Yeah, the first 2 rounds, Tommy was.
With the opening bell, it looked like both of them wouldn't be too much for each other, but then Paul put his jab right in Fury's face as it began. Things just kept getting more and more intense after that. Fury got back at Jake Paul with a late-round flurry, which just raised the stakes. And that's how the first round set the tone for the rest of the fight. Right then, everyone thought that it would be a relatively evenly matched fight, which makes sense.
Jake Paul, still no word if that's official or not. There's a right hand down the center.
That's what he's supposed to do in this fight.
This didn't stop people from doubting Jake Paul's boxing abilities. It seems like the YouTube vlogger title is a bit hard to get rid of, even when you've made it to your first pro boxing match. Regis Prograis, a professional boxer, tweeted something about this during the fight. According to Regis, you just can't tell who's who in the fight. He thought that both the YouTuber and boxer looked the same or equal.
That his brother Tyson Fury was sparring with in preparation for his professional fights.
Prograis made sure to add a shrugging emoji, making sure to let everyone know he was being sarcastic. Like I said, everyone had to weigh in on this fight and give their opinions.
You're doing the right thing. You close in, and Tommy, if Tommy closes the show.
It was so highly anticipated, it would honestly be weird if boxers, analysts, and other athletes didn't do so. During the fight was when most of the tweets were pouring in. As it progressed into the next few rounds, you could see that Fury was slowly taking over with his jab, and Paul was walking his opponent down.
Frustrate Fury over that time period.
I think it's the opposite. I think that I really wouldn't say.
In most cases, though, it was Tommy Fury who was landing the jab. Teddy Atlas, a legendary boxing trainer, took note of this and tweeted out during the fight, saying that it would be an issue for Paul. According to Atlas, Paul had to start making use of his jab before the fight slipped away from him. It seems like Teddy was right because that's exactly what happened. Still, it was touch and go for both fighters, but you could see Paul having to fight back a bit harder each time.
Has all of the experience that he lacks.
But up until the third round, things were looking like they could go in either direction. People were saying that Fury was doing nothing in the third round, and I have to agree. The two of them were pretty balanced in terms of action, but everyone didn't think that they were putting on a showcase of true world-class boxing. Frank Buglioni talked about this in a tweet, saying that both of them are good actors, publicists, and entertainers. As far as boxing goes, according to Buglioni, both of them are hopeless. The two fighters weren't the only people who were being criticized left and right. The referee docked Paul a point in round 5, then docked Fury a point for clinching. Many analysts and fans turned their attention to the referee. In fact, this whole situation with the referee took away from the fight so much, it became the only thing people were talking about on Twitter. Michael Benson even tweeted something along the lines of the fight being more about the referee than Paul and Fury. Soon, the final round of the fight came around, and it was definitely a tough one. In the final round, Paul showed signs of life, knocking Fury down with a quick jab, and that's where I thought things might be looking up for Paul, but as we all know, Fury definitely fought back. He ended up winning the fight, and for all his hard work, the athlete gets to maintain his unblemished record and earn a spot in the WBC rankings. And if you ask me, that's something to brag about. For now, this is all I have about the reactions to the Paul versus Fury bout.